risky technique, but when the pieces survive, sometimes they don't, just beware. The results are often stunning, and each piece that is unearthed from the ashes is completely unique. During the firing, surface and form become seamlessly unified, as in nature. The beauty of nature itself becomes encapsulated into the work when the elements interact, and the resulting alchemy of the fire transforms the surface of clay into a myriad of different patterns and colors. After the firing, all soot and ash are cleaned off the work, and a fine wax is polished into the surface if you want. This final process is like dropping pebbles into the sea when the clarity and beauty of a natural object sings out beneath the surface of shining water. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Anyway, but it is a risky technique because there's a lot of fire and temperature change and everything, abrupt temperature change involved. But it's a low fire technique too, also. And in case you're not aware, the pieces are not used for eating and drinking off. They're decorative pieces. I mean, you might be able to, if it hasn't cracked or anything during the firing, you may be able to put water in it, especially if you put like something like a sealer, a cement sealer. What's the name of that one that we use? Anyway,
Thompson, yeah.
Thompson's water seal is one that we usually have around. And so if it doesn't have any cracks in it, you can seal it, use it as a vase, or to plant it, you wouldn't even have to do that. Anyway, but okay, so a bisque vessel that's been furnished or prepared with terra sigliata before it was bisque fired is actually, once it's bisque fired, it's actually ready to go into the pit just as is. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. And sometimes you get wonderful results. There are, however, several very interesting techniques of applying volatile materials to the vessel before firing that may direct the smoke and flames around the piece and result in beautiful surface patterns and colors. And below we're going to be talking about and demonstrating some of the volatile materials and effects. And they need to be wrapped tightly against the clay surface and remain that way for most of the firing in order to effectively trap the fumes. And these preparations should be done in advance of the pit firing. However, they shouldn't be done necessarily a month ahead. Well, it's not a month ahead now, but some of the things are better to be doing a few days ahead. And for that reason, we are going to have a pit fire prep workshop. So we're going to drop in bases the Monday before, which is actually Memorial Day, but it's May 25th from 10 to 4. And some of us experienced people will be here to help you and give you advice if you want. And you can just come in and prepare your things. It's a good time to do it. It's only a few days before. And I'm going to do this little slideshow. It shows some of mine and Patty's pieces primarily. And okay, so the first one I'm showing is actually, I have the finished piece here. I don't know if we need to turn off the light. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And basically I did this little thing beforehand where I put how it looked when it was bisque and ready to go into the kiln and how it looked afterwards. And you can see it, like this is.
Yeah, that's that side. That's the side.
Yeah.
The flat side.
The flat side, right. So it's all very interesting. Anyway, I put like four things like this. Now I just have to go. Okay, so this is one side, and you can see I put these scrubbies on it, and some areas where I put it really tight, it really stuck to it and shows. And then other areas, this area really shows well. And but so other areas it wasn't quite so tight. And then this particular vase. This was before it was bisque. I mean after it was bisque, but before it was ready to go. And actually maybe it was before it was bisque.
Looks so pretty.
Anyway, and then I have another one.
Can you hold that one up?
And this one was after. Okay, the other one was before it was bisque. And then after it was bisque, I painted terra sig on the little horses. And I put some underglaze and things on the bottom. And then after it was fired, this is how it came out. You never know exactly how it's going to come out. All sorts of things happen in the fire. The inside is actually particularly nice in my opinion. That happens a lot. It's like, oh no, the backside turns out best. But what can you do? Anyway, and then I have some pieces, some of my different pendants and things that I've made. I took pictures beforehand. Like this is how it looked before, and then and this is how it looked before. And I said what kind of clay I had, speckled buff with coral stain and terra sig. These are how they turned out. This particular thing shows some of the ones that I'm showing you, and I had like a set of 7 different ones, and some of them are on there too. So this is how they show. Both sides are different. You don't, it's unlike when you glaze things, you know, there's no glaze to worry about melting, so both sides do different things, and it's very interesting. You get some really interesting effects. So, and I have more here that you
What you put in here? Yeah.
no, not really. I do have, in some cases, I mean, like I put some blue terracig on this, and it has sort of underlying blue, and some of these had, like, I don't know if you can see it from here, but you can come up and look afterwards. I had tape, and I had the orange, the terracotta terracig here, and the white here, and you know, some of the things show, sometimes they don't. This one had a lot of blue on it, and it turned out pretty pleasant. So,
And the one you're wearing, it looks like it was just terracid.
yeah, it was just terracig, and I put it in, and this is what happened. You never know what's gonna happen.
That's great,
Yeah.
but you're
And you make 10 of them, and maybe you end up liking 4 or 3 or whatever, and you can, you know. But,
Did you put them all in one packet? You didn't, or did you wrap them each individually?
no, I put them in a tin.
And did,
In a tin, like a tin, we have these, sometimes they're lids or very shallow tins. We put them in there, and we're gonna do a demo.
you do that with the beads too?
Yeah. If you don't put them in something like this, we'd never find it again. So it gets ruined, it can't be used again, but we can still take it out, at least, you know. So, and then, this is another piece this shows another piece of mine, and, let me see, is that? Okay, this is how it looked after it had been bisqued, and it had a lot of texture on it, so I put some underglaze on the texture and rubbed it off like we often do, you know? So it was kind of, it was something called cinnamon underglaze. We have some, I don't think we have that one right now, but we have something else, red brown. So I put that in, and that does show. And then I put, we have this magical stuff called swamp juice. It's like, you feel like a witch when you're making it, 'cause it bubbles up. And I put it on, you can kind of see here, it's the kind of bluish thing I put on her dress and her headdress, which is a little cat, and these snakes in her hands. And it kind of did a really interesting thing. It kind of, you know, traveled around, and you can see it here. It's kind of became an atmosphere or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of interesting what happens with it. And then here is a bunch of my things. Like there's one of those trays. I mean, I cleaned them up and put them in a new one there. And then now we're getting into Patty's things. Okay, Patty, these are some things that were ago. And here's a little one of Patty's pieces. It's a video, but it doesn't move. So anything you want me to stop, just tell me, Patty. And we'll just go ahead and some of her beautiful pieces. She puts wires around them and so forth. She'll be talking about that, I'm sure.
Well, do you know what the reddish color, Patty, what the reddish color was from?
Okay, this piece right here, hold on that a minute. Patty, can you
Patty,
hold
there was a
it?
question about the last one.
I know,
I'm
but can you
holding it.
hold it?
Yes,
Okay.
I am holding it.
Yes. Who?
That was Fern.
Yeah, the reddish colors.
How did you
You
get
got
the
a lot
reddish?
of reddish.
On the previous one. On the previous
A lot
one?
of stuff that you put on,
Yeah.
like on that. Was that from the firing, or was that stuff that you?
Yeah, reduction.
But did you put something on there?
I
Iron or
put,
copper?
when I'm doing these pieces, I'm gonna show you, I put almost everything that's on this table. And not so much as on this piece, but I do put that, and the reddish color, was kind of, I think from using underglaze, using
that's what
stain and terracig. The orangey color at the top, but the more reddish colors at the bottom, where it really gets that reduction, that I love, that really red part, but.
Maybe you wrap seaweed around it or something.
Yeah, I probably, because you'll see in a minute, I just kind of overdo everything, it's so much fun.
And these are
To
from
me.
years and years, so she may not know the details of all, neither do I.
No, I don't have this piece. And the next piece, it does not look very colorful in this, but is the best piece I've ever done as far as the process of the pit part. It has everything in it. It has these mahogany colors, blue colors, everything. And also the head, I'm going to show on one of the heads, and I'll demonstrate that at the last workshop. that I covered the face of this piece. It was made, the head was made separate, but I covered the face with wet clay and put it into the pit so it would stay white and not smoke. But the bottom part is, and a lot of it is, who has courage? I mean, who has courage?
Courage? We need courage.
I mean, you gotta have courage, or you wouldn't even be in this club. But you've gotta have courage, because what comes out of the pit is total splendor of mystery, and that's it. That's the beauty of the whole thing and the magical part of it. So I'm glad you all have courage.
I have a question. So if I'm forgetting how to do this, and that's why I'm here. If I put that mason stain on some beads that are like blue now, can I also wrap some of these seaweed things around it as well, and then something even more enhancing will occur?
Well, that was what happened.
We're gonna be doing
That
some
was what
demo.
happened
Yeah,
with
yeah,
class.
I just wanted to get a sense, because I thought, oh, I'll just do the mason stain, but now I'm thinking.
Well, when you put it in the tray, I mean, what I always do when with these pieces, and I put a whole bunch of different things in there and kind of put things on top of each other, but it's sort of haphazard. It's not like,
Yeah.
it's not like I wrap, but you could like wrap a wire around it if you want. Like, for instance, on this one, where the wire was, it really made the strong, and where, this is also where wire was, it made a strong, impression, you know, where the copper wire flashes around it. So you can think about things like that if you want.
But one of the things is there are two ways, there are two environments that affect, when you have the terracig or you burnish, there are two types of environments. There's the pit environment, and that is that everybody's pieces, enhances everybody else's, and and terracig and burnishing invites that. And then also you can create your own environment, like in these tins. So you know that you have more copper carbonate, or you want to put something more seaweed, and hope for eggshells, banana peel. We've got a whole list of things. Oh,
Okay, so I'm gonna continue a slideshow. This is one
Okay.
of your sculptures before, I think it had been bisqued, right? This one had been bisqued,
Oh, yeah, it had
and
been
then this is a
big.
detail of the same one. I think.
Yeah, and I did the same thing here. I masked her face, so.
And here is how it came out.
There she is.
The day of the unloading.
Yeah,
And then here she is all pinked up and beautiful
Oh my
like her
gosh.
pedestal.
yeah.
Yeah. And there's another one.
Oh my God. Yeah, and the smoke came through, and so it looked like she had tears there.
This is before, right? You put all the seaweed and stuff on it? Yeah, this is before. And you can see sometimes the wire will stay on it, and if you like it, you could leave it on there, but sometimes it falls off, or you might want to take it off for whatever reason. And then this is sort of Patty's collage of several of her pieces. So that's a little slideshow, and and then that's it for now, but I'm just gonna leave this on just in case we wanna go back to anything. So, now, first Patty's gonna do some demonstrating, and she'll probably be doing it mostly at this table here, so you may have to turn to see her, right, Patty?
Yeah,
You'll be at
yeah.
that. So the first thing that I have on my list, tell me if you wanna do anything different order, okay? Thick, fine copper wire. And what it says here is thin copper wire wrapped or woven tightly around a piece will create thin black, red, or green lines wherever it is tight against the top. Will also create flashing of color around it. We generally use 18 to 24 gauge wire. You can also use heavier gauge wire wrapped around the top to make larger markings or the direction smoke around the top.
Okay, I'm gonna start with this piece, and this was, used terracig and, mason stains, and then polished and whatever.
That's a
and then
bisque
top-
piece.
Huh?
It's all bisque.
Yeah, it's all been bisque, and you can see it's shiny, and then here, I used iron oxide, And then I saw a video and it said to put the, Terracig over it. So that's kind of an experiment this time, to see what happens when I put it over. It's very messy, so I love the idea of putting it over. But before I go further, I do wanna say one thing, that the piece that I said was the best piece I ever made, and a couple of those other pieces were all I donated to the bazaar last year. And you see we're down $20,000 to $20,000. So the donation shelf is open and ready for donations.
Little plug.
Yeah, just a little push, which came to about $1,000, but to buy some of those songs. So, I'm encouraging. Okay, so you said wire.
Yeah, copper wire.
Well, okay, I'm choosing to use this 10-point, we have a lot of different gauges of wire. And that it can determine what you, how much flashing you'll get, like this is thicker. Maybe I should use that. But my whole idea in using wires with the things that I do. So I'm gonna cut a piece, and I tend to use a lot of copper wire. And if any of you start to use a lot, then you might wanna stop at Ace Hardware and buy some, because I end up buying my own. Anyway, we had an amazing collection of seaweed. Terry D. and also Susan Martin. Terry D. and Susan Martin collected seaweed, and then we had Nancy Yu and Tina Lee, who went back to there and got some. Absolutely, I mean, we have a collection of seaweed like you have not believed. I don't believe we've ever had this type. Anyway, so I'm gonna start with this particular piece of seaweed. Doesn't it look delicious? And what I do is, in this case, I'm gonna tuck it in. Oh, these are very important. They're full of salt, these little pots. So,
And we love salt in it.
and I like to just fill, I'm gonna end up filling the inside of this with some of those and some other seaweed. But let's start with this. And I kind of look to see, where it might fit, you know, on the design. I don't just namby-pamby, but later I will be doing that, because I get to a point where I'm just too excited about it all. So, I wrap it around, and here are needle nose pliers up here. So if you're using the larger gauge, like this is, you may need to use the needle nose pliers. I may have to lay this down. Yeah. Let me see, let me just lay it down, and that way maybe I can better.
Sometimes you need another set of hands, somebody to help you.
Okay.
That's why that workshop on the 25th is to be helpful. There'll be people around that can help you.
So what I'm saying is I like to, let me twist it first. I like to twist it like that,
Can we move?
and then I use the needle nose pliers.
No, the scissors.
The soda box.
The soda box and the
salt
scissors,
shaker.
you would just, if you can move them, we could see
blocking.
the view.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there we go. Is that better?
Oh, so much better.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all right, I'll hold it. I don't want you to. Okay, so, and then you see I'm just tucking it up here with the wire, so it kind of holds it in place. And then I go back and I take the seaweed and I wrap it, I'll show you this in a minute, I'm wrapping it underneath. The idea is to get as close as possible, and then I take these needle nose pliers, like this, and I twist the wire to get it really close. And also, in twisting, you kind of get a little bit of a design. As you can see a little, almost like a little curly design there. But you're also holding the seaweed on. So then that's not really enough seaweed for me. Where's my other seaweed? There it is. So, here we go. This was an amazing piece. And I think because it almost is possibly gonna give the same effect as the copper mesh
talk a little bit louder?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I have allergies. I'll try though. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna tuck some more of this to the back. And kind of secure it around here. I mean, it's, like I said, you've gotta have courage here, because, you know, you just have a little bit of fun and pretend that you're dressing up your piece. So here's another, I love this piece. You go all the way around here. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna make it stay.
That's also seaweed?
Huh?
That's also seaweed? It's just drier?
There's
I don't know anything about
several
it.
varieties of seaweed.
All of this is seaweed. Okay, that first piece I showed you, this is seaweed. This is, reeds from the sea. This also a part of a plant from the sea, probably seaweed.
No, that is seaweed.
This amazing kind of piece here that has a lot of the pods on it. And, then we have sea grass.
The same idea.
Yeah, we have sea grass down here someplace that I wanted to make sure we see, because I like to put some of the sea grass inside. I don't know if I have it right here. Well, I don't, but, well, kinda like this. You could put this inside, and sometimes that's all you need to do. Is just put a piece inside like this, and you get an amazing color in there. Okay, so this piece I'm gonna put here though. I'm gonna secure it partially with this, wire that I've already got on, and then I'll have to add some more.
Oh, and by the way, on the back side, it tells you about what some of the different things there. It says seaweed, it says unwashed and dry seaweed, which is what we have, of course, wrapped around your piece to create orange, peach, and red colors.
Oh. Okay. Okay, this is raffia, and this is some, string, and I dipped it into this copper carbonate with salt. And what you do is, when you do this, I'll just show you what we're doing, is that you first take this big spoon and you stir it until you see this beautiful green color. And then you know it's in the right place. You take like a piece of the string or a piece of raffia or a piece of fabric, or, this will be last, this is my favorite part, it's kind of a secret, but I've been telling everybody for years now. But you take a piece of magazine, really bright, and you dip it in, and you dry all of this outside before you attach it. And you just put it out there. I put some rocks on it and put it on the ground outside there. Okay, so this is when I had dipped it in there. This is being tidy and, you know, being neat here as we are. You take this, and after you dip it in, whatever you dip in, you put in here. And then you carry it outside, so you're not dripping all the way. Even though, if you happen to, you get really excited about this, you know.
And the information about that is kind of on the back side of your blue page. It talks about copper, salt, and iron solutions. Actually, it's copper and salt, so we have copper, carbon, and salt mostly. There's also a safety warning if you, to use a face mask and rubber gloves whenever
Absolutely.
using chemicals, especially the powdered ones, you need a face mask.
And we have rubber gloves here. I recommend rubber gloves for
Yeah.
this process.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to do it without getting your hand in it. And maybe the whole time you're doing this is a good idea. But, okay, so I'm tying this seaweed at the top on with the string. And the string was dipped, so it is also a possibility that it is going to, it's going to affect it, maybe make a black line around, or who knows?
Now, it also does say here on the back here, under the thing about the solutions, it should be done no more than a day or two ahead of time, because the salts can start to eat away at your clay surface. So, I don't know, Patty may decide to take that off until later, but she's
I
gonna say.
probably won't, but, you know, if you had like a beautiful, I consider this a piece of sculpture rather than it's a vessel sculpture. And so I like the idea that if it pits a little bit, it's okay. But I have a lot of courage.
Yeah, and she likes to experiment, but it does, like if you care, really, don't wanna get pits and things in your surface, you do it, just a few days before, and you all, maybe the 25th when we have this workshop. And then also don't put wet stuff on your piece, it has to dry thorough. If you put wet stuff in your piece, it will make a mess of it. It will be the way it's surface. Very,
I
very
wish I had put this higher, but anyway, now, I don't wanna miss anything, so I'm going to try to put a little bit of this scrubby up here at the top. The scrubby is an amazing piece to hold and secure other pieces onto your piece. And they stretch, and you can cut, or you can just wrap it over. Oh. And, also, Kit.
I'm here.
Kit is the goddess of the seaweed, not the seaweed, but the goddess of the pit fire table. And so you see something's missing, get a hold of Kit, and she will replace it. Because there's replacements for everything.
There's a lot more seaweed.
Yeah.
Great. And we put a lot of it into the pit, as you may have, remember if you saw the slideshow from last time, we love to put a lot of seaweed.
Okay, so I stretched this out, and now I'm going to try to keep it close. I like to get it down a little bit further than at the top where I have all that texture. I don't know if I can now, but, I'll just do it. So, just stretch it on down and tuck some of the seaweed in there. It's best if it's really flat onto your piece. I'm not doing that here, mainly because of the location I put it. You saw it on Ann's, how it's stretched out and it was flat.
See, on this one.
Kinda here I
had it
did it.
really tight on here, but it had it loose on here, it didn't really show on here, but on here it really
Yeah.
showed. So
It's better to have
it's
it.
like, it really needs to be tight up against it.
Better to have it tight.
Yeah.
But with the copper, like if it's not really tight, do you get more flashing as opposed to lines? Is that the distance?
That's the idea, is if it needs to be tight, so you get the flashing.
Oh, it has to be tight to get the flashing?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you need it to be tight.
Almost everything does.
Okay.
If it's
Okay.
just, if it's
Now,
just,
this is that fabric that I put in.
that was already soaked in the copper carbonate solution.
So I'm going to tuck it under here and,
It's like a toothache.
yeah, I'm gonna tuck it under here and tie it maybe here. We'll see, it's better, we have some copper, pure cotton fabric. But I'm not sure that this is, that I'm wrapping around this, I'm not sure it is.
Would that be important, because if you're doing any kind of plastic, artificial, or it could have fumes, right?
I don't know, I hate to think about fumes, I don't talk about them here.
Okay.
It scares everybody to death. And there are definitely fumes. I mean, that's why the masks are here. I recommend that you wear a mask when you're up here doing yours. And I hope you're, only reason I'm not is you probably couldn't hear me. But oftentimes I will wear a mask here. As I said, there are different gauges of wire. And, so you find that the heavier wire is difficult to deal with, then you can use some of the other wires. Now, this. Many times this will end up bringing color, and I kind of, in that last piece, the piece that I said was the best piece I ever did, I really wrapped it completely in, in pieces from the Bazaar magazine, and it was very heavy, amount of ink.
Harper's Bazaar.
Yeah, Harper's Bazaar.
Did you soak this piece? Did you soak it?
Yeah, I soaked it.
These are all things that she soaked ahead of time. Dried
if everybody, you know, you shouldn't sit up here close if you're worried about fumes right now. And when, if you come and other people are working, just leave and come back when they're not, if you're worried, because I can tell you, I'm just learning now, that is something that is gonna be happen. Okay, now I'm gonna wrap it around here. I'm gonna tear it, and I'm going to have it in two longer pieces.
This is one of the pieces we call Patty's Kitchen Sink pieces.
That's
And they usually turn out gorgeous.
Well, they certainly have color. And some people say, you know, I did something and it didn't color, I don't wanna do it again because there's no color. Well, this is the reason I think all my pieces get color. And this is the reason I just slap everything on here. There's more to go though, so don't leave yet. Okay, so,
I was asked what the baking soda does. It's sort of like salt, right? It kind of, what does the baking soda do? Lucille?
don't know,
We don't know. We don't know everything.
didn't know that.
By the way, I want to mention, we do have, I'm not passing this out because I'm not sure if we have enough, but I have a bunch of them here. And if you need to take your own, you can, but I'm gonna leave it on the table and hopefully at least one of them will stay there. And it's a list of the different things that you can put on and their possible effects. And
Well, we have enough baking soda.
what?
We have a lot of baking soda.
Yeah. Color
Okay.
palette chart. It's the same as last year if you were here.
Now I'm going to add some,
I don't want everybody to take one though because.
We'll take a photo.
In here.
You know what, I could pass it.
okay, I'm adding swamp juice now. And,
Okay, this is-
it's green and in the bottom it has,
Swamp juice.
swamp juice, it has cotton seeds in the bottom. And you can kind of see that this has some texture on this brush, and that's cottonseed. And it's part of this, and I love that because it does kind of sometimes come out with some little dots. And it's one of those specials. And so I'm going to brush some on here. And then I'm also going to go down here and add some around, kind of on the wire part. Just randomly I'm doing this. Now, you may wanna be more precise, but this is a kitchen sink, so, you know, I can have fun. And I do think that's a big part of this. You know, we don't have to have too many expectations.
It's not.
Okay.
I thought that's true.
And then I'm gonna do some dots of it and see what happens. Okay, so that's enough of that. And then also, then we have, copper sulfate, copper water. Oh no, cobalt water. I don't know what this does, but I go in and just adding some, just in case it does something exciting. Cobalt water. I think I may have added it before, but I'm not positive. So I'm going to take some of that in addition and add it here on this. It's such a pretty color. It should
What are you brushing on?
possibly cobalt water.
Suppose.
Cobalt carbonate, blue shades.
Yeah, blue. Oh,
Blue.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and then some dry products.
Some what?
Some dry products.
Oh.
Let's see, copper, no, I'll do that in the environment. Okay, am I missing, what else did I say? Oh,
Wood chips.
that's on my second one up here, but I'll put it on this, just because,
Some of the other things are steel wool and copper foil, you know, this.
yes, I'm gonna just add it to that one, because I may not get around this. I did a completely different, kind of a special, effect on that. I used underglaze, and I used, very dark colors, and then I added it over it. should, brown, should, black, it's black. Black. It should come out black.
And sometimes it flash green. Yeah, it comes up higher.
The copper foil on our, palette chart, it says, black and dark grays.
Okay. Now, I'm going to turn this upside down, so
Now,
I
there's
can
nothing for sure, you never know, you
put
kind
a
of,
little bit on the bottom.
I was just gonna say, you never know exactly what's gonna happen.
No. So down here, I have a little room that I haven't done anything, so I'm just gonna add this down in this area. One of the things is having this, open at the bottom the way it is that what you end up doing, it's really with the legs, like they are, that the flames come up under it, and that's another part. You know, I like my pieces sometimes, and that's one of the favorite parts, I think. And so this, I'm just adding, a little bit of this for, I don't know, it's not quite enough for me. A little bit
So it
more.
doesn't matter that the paper's not touching everywhere?
Hmm?
Just, the paper's not touching everywhere?
The tape should be.
No, the paper,
But you're
the
gonna
magazine.
The
Oh,
magazine.
paper. I'm gonna fix that in a minute. I'm gonna go around it, yeah, I'm gonna go around with paper, and I'm also go around with a little bit more wire.
So, this copper foil, you can cut into shapes, like if you wanted to put a specific shape, like maybe you wanted to put a zigzag like lightning or something, you could do that, or a heart, or whatever, and adhere that directly on, and when it's really tight to the vessel, it will create solid form, so, it's
Okay,
not-
so I'm
it's
gonna
not
use a
tight.
little bit of this tape to hold down my special paper. And here.
And you can read, on the front page of the handout I gave you, it has more information about the copper foil, for instance.
So you can make it smooth, or you can let it be, you know, when it curled, I just utilize that part that curled to possibly enhance the design here. So here I'm gonna tuck this under, but then I'm gonna take some thinner wire that's really easy to deal with because you can twist it. This is what I mean, I have to buy my own wire because I'm absolutely a wire kind of.
You could say that you're wired.
I'm wired. Well, then I am. Okay, so I wrap there, and you just have to, and then you go back under some of your other wire, and then keep going around until you feel like you've got most everything pretty closely secured to the piece. Down here, my paper isn't close enough. But then I come back under here, this other wire, and I utilize that to tie this off. So as you can see, this is a very organic process. Now, you don't have to have it this organic. You can't just stick it in the pit with nothing in it, nothing on, and it'll be great. But it's not enough stuff. Okay, steel wool.
Steel wool, yeah, that's what we said. And it says here, a few strands, just a few strands of fine steel wool, taped the pots or tucked under the wire, produce orange squiggly lines. It's best to use only a couple of strands, because a large amount will just result in a gunmetal solid color.
But if you want that.
If you want that, go for it. But
Well, it's very,
you just kind of separate them into separate strands very carefully, and place them on.
there's 3 different grades of this.
Oh.
Really fine, medium, this one's medium, and then this one. This medium one is the easiest to, I think, I always get the blobs on there. I get a blob of it. I've not been able to been successful in other, so, I don't know. But that's the idea on that. Okay, now for the environment. Now what I do is take, paper, I actually had newspaper out here kind of ready. Take newspaper and do it like, 2 or 3 thicknesses of paper. And you have to, make kind of evaluate how many pieces you have. I like to think that my paper will cover, for instance,
Well, this is what you've done after you've already done everything you want to with your piece, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna put it, to keep them from falling off before they even get in the pit.
yeah, and you're
You're
also
protecting
making
it.
your own little environment in here. So here I am, I need to make this larger. So what I do is just kind of put it in a caddy corner, hopefully this is gonna work.
This is where you're still gonna need another person to help.
Yes, this is sometimes you do need somebody else, because having a partner when you're over here doing this is very important. Okay, so then this is when you put the dry products on. Miracle Grow, you can put a little bit of that in the bottom, but a little goes a long way with Miracle Grow, because it can jump up on your piece and make it green, and green dots on it, and what,
Green.
yeah. So, I don't know, it's up to you, I always overdo everything, so as you can see. Now, I mean, I don't know if you're gardeners and how cautious you are about gloves, but I would suggest gloves right now is important. And see the little scoop in there? Be sure to put the same scoop back in. Okay, I don't know, I'm just gonna stop and do this because, gloves, we have 3 sizes. None of them really fit me, but. And this is a good time for a mask, which I have not been able to find the mask today. That's the reason. But, okay, copper carbonate. It's the same as what we have in a liquid mix, but I sprinkle it all the way around, and we also put this in our pit environment. We sprinkle, and then it brings out the color in pieces. So this is what I consider an important part, and you could be pretty generous with it.
Okay, me.
Then salt.
Olive oil?
Okay, so, just use it like this, we'll sprinkle it around. This is the part, if you say wrapping it early like I'm doing, might pitch your piece.
We couldn't hear.
And effect, oh, thank you. So a mask is, I know we have people here, I honestly, I don't know if you can hear me if I put this on, but mask would be a good idea.
Protect yourself.
Yeah. Okay, Lucia, what am I missing here at the bottom? Salt. Cobalt. Cobalt. Cobalt is blue, maybe blue. Yeah, it could turn blue. I put brushed on some, but we'll put some down in here. And, like I said, be sure and put the little scoopy back in there, because that way the next person will have it. Oh, sugar, where do we put sugar?
Sugar, supposedly put when you put the test, ferroflora, it's going to be white dots. So it's,
It might be hard to do on this piece.
yeah.
Okay.
There's orange peel, don't forget.
Oh, and banana peel.
Banana peel,
Yeah.
bird food, eggshell.
Look at this. Okay, banana peel. Banana peel can be amazing. In color, bring out a lot of color. Okay, I'm putting, I think, didn't we look and say it was gray and blue or something? I know somebody on. Okay.
Gray, pale blue, or green.
So I'm just, once again, utilizing the wire to tuck this in. And I don't wanna take too much time, but I definitely will come back here with more wire to make sure that this is really close to my piece. Eggshells. Hard to do right on this piece. And then we have bone. We mash this up with hammer, and, orange peel. Yes, I'm just gonna put it right here. And see what happens, I don't know. Just stick it there. Looks like a fruit salad now. Okay.
Can you,
Oh.
Patty, can you use, kosher salt, the larger grains of salt? Would that do anything different?
It's usually not recommended.
Oh,
And I
okay.
don't remember why.
Uh-huh.
But maybe it doesn't.
Maybe it doesn't dissolve. Oh,
Or doesn't
Yeah.
burn up as
See the
well.
iodine in the table salt.
Okay, I think I may have got everything out here that,
Eggshell.
Huh?
Eggshell.
Eggshells, I don't know how to do it on this.
Just run into it.
Huh?
Eggshells aren't that great, unless you want a lot of weird texture.
Oh, yeah, here. Oh, yeah, in the bottom. I put eggshells in the bottom in my environment.
We have listed on the pink page, we have, two kinds of salt. We have table salt and sea salt, and it tells slightly different colors.
That's enough? Okay. Okay, I'm missing anything?
I don't know.
That's it.
I did think that inside of it, I wanted to put some of the sea grass. And here is some of it, but not enough. So I'm gonna be putting, just to tell you that I'm gonna put some of the sea grass inside and just get that, so it'll get some color in there. But pretty much so, you can see that I've got just about everything on here. And now what happens is, or I've got it down here for you, is that wrapping. And what you do is you wrap it in this newspaper, and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do it, but because I'm gonna come back here and tighten this up, I'm not gonna totally secure it. But normally what you do is take the newspaper, wrap it up. You would have a partner like this that Lucia's doing with me. And you would tape it, completely covered, take the tape, tighten it up all the way around it as tight as you can. And, yeah. And then, importantly, very important, you say what is to be the top. You take a black marking pen, you mark it as top, and you also put your name on it. And if there's any special instructions, such as whatever.
Now, for instance, if you had something that you wanted to be very black inside, like a bowl type shape or something, if you put it upside down, or you put a lot of wood shavings in it, or you put it upside down, then the black from the wood shavings that are at the bottom of the tip will make it really nice and black.
Oh, you write it on the tape.
Yeah, right on the tape, your name and whether it's the top.
I'm not gonna tape this completely, I just do one row around it, cause I'm gonna take it off and tighten up the pieces, I didn't wanna take a lot of time, but tightening up the fluid, around it is important, and it takes the time to do it properly. Just one
If
shot.
you have a bowl or a tray and you want color on both sides, then the top is gonna be one of the sides. literally, you're gonna turn it on its side, right? So that the color will flash on both sides of it. Otherwise, same thing. When you put it down, if the top of your tray or the inside of your bowl is the top, then the whole bottom will get the black color from the pit. So just think about that. I was thinking about, the first pit fire that I did, I created a set of 9 wall hangings. And so they all needed to go in the pit on their side because I wanted color on the sides and on the front. I didn't care so much about the back, but if I put it down like this in the pit, I was worried that all I would get would be black all the way around it. So when they loaded the pit, they made sure that all 9 of those pieces were leaning up against one of the walls, were leaning up against one of the buckets in the middle, leaning up against somebody else's piece, and then what happens is the pieces that are beside your piece flash color on your piece. So there's this whole magic that happens inside the pit that you know, this is nice to see what all these things make in terms of color, but whatever Cindy puts in her package is gonna influence my package in the pit if our pieces are side by side.
Yeah.
So everybody,
Oh.
put your piece next to Patty's piece.
You'll get a little bit of everything.
That way she will flash onto you.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a flash.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, we don't need to do
So-
anything.
Yeah, we don't need to put anything on ours. Just tear us
Writing
in.
direction, there's another reason for leaning things up like this, is for breakage. And if we have a lot of flat pieces, we first of all, when you're doing your jewelry beads and little pieces in these top tin can tops, you know, you should only do no more than 2 of them of your own, and try to squeeze it all into one. And the other thing is that if you have a bowl or whatever, you need to say what Linda's talking about, but part of it is breakage, and that we have cans that are in the middle that help to, the airflow to go through the pit, and they're very important that I know that those pieces need to be leaning, because I lean them against the cans in the pit.
And that also
against
helps
other
it from warping and breaking.
Yeah, and cracking, warping, breaking.
Right.
Of course, we can't guarantee that, that's where the courage came in. You had to have the courage to do these.
So do you all understand how the pit gets loaded? Okay, because what happens is, on top of all of the pieces, after all the chemicals are in the pit, sawdust is on the bottom, chemicals all around all of the pieces, then, and the cow pies in between for insulation as well as color, then kindling goes on top, and then a cord of wood goes on top of that. So there's all of, and then there's fire, but there's all of this weight that goes on top of everything. And so when you think about that, as well as the intense shock of the fire, that's where the color comes from. That's where the magic comes from. And then when you cover it and there's the reduction, then that adds more of that influence of all of the chemicals and the color that's in the pit. But if your piece is very thin and very delicate, that's why we put
Very flat.
and very flat. That's why we put all of the beads and thin pieces in a tray, in a tin. Not also so we can find it at the end.
Which are right here.
Right,
And we'll
but
have more. We have more.
And people are asked to limit themselves to 2 of those, right, Patty?
Yeah, the flat ones.
Because, because they take up a lot of space.
But, you know, don't get too freaked out about this, because if
Yeah.
you give the proper instructions on there, we'll do our best, but we can't promise always.
So are flat
Some of
tin-
my, now
flat
for
tin's
instance,
better than like coffee cans?
beads and things.
Or for whatever, whatever you
Depends on
have.
the piece, if you have a tall piece, a
Oh,
cone,
okay,
it'd
then
be
you
okay.
need the sides to hold it
But
in,
for
Now
things
this,
like
as you
whatever-
can see, the top of this piece is pretty thin.
yeah.
Ideally, maybe I wouldn't have had it that thin, but it's just the way it worked out when I put the top part on, a band on. And, but as, if I know, I'm gonna write on their top, a bit delicate, fragile or whatever, the top of it, and so then I would know, because we won't know. Ann and I'll be in the pit loading, and we, you know, we'll be careful as we can be. But it is, but,
Well, and if your name is on it, you know, once these pieces are, you'll see, as pieces start to get wrapped in the newspaper, like which one is which. So if you're, you know, we'll never be able to tell if that's Pat's piece once it's all wrapped up, but her name is on it. So, you know, all of those things will help inform, and if you're there on the day of loading the pit, if there's any question that Patty or Ann have in the loading process, and you can ask that question.
Now, there's
okay,
really
I have
the-
one
the-
more thing to say about this before I close up, is that this piece is the piece that I'm gonna wrap the face. And this is the stand for it. So, it's gonna go in, this hasn't been bisque, is the reason I didn't show this, but, I have a fixture that holds the heads I put in. And if you have something really unusual that you think it needs a fixture to hold it up in there, then talk to me about it, and I'll see if you can quickly create one and bisque it. And sometimes that, you know, just a small piece. I just have like a U-shaped piece, right this minute, I can't find it.
It's also made out of clay, right?
Yes, it's made out of clay and then bisque, has to be bisque. But then it would hold her in the pit, and it just comes around here just a little bit like this. So it doesn't block off the flames from coming up on her, but I'll show this masking part at a later time. Neither of these have been bisque. They're trying
I have
to.
a question. When people finish them early, do we have a storage place to
We'll
put
have a
them?
place that's marked for it.
When you wrap them, we're gonna have the cart, a couple of carts from the annex that are gonna come in here, and you'll put them directly on that. And when we fill a cart, then we'll take it back out to the annex and leave it, so it'll already kind of be loaded. And, as we said, the last biz is gonna be on the 22nd, and you have to have your pieces on the shelf by 5 o'clock to be
This is
on the
Friday.
22nd.
So Friday. And there's a couple more things on here we haven't done yet.
Lucia's.
Involving, I know. And I was gonna mention one that's on the top of the back page, the back side of your page, metallic spray paint. We have some there, and you can take it outside, put down some newspaper, so you're not gonna get it all over everything. Excuse me, everybody. And if you wanna use it, and you can spray a part of your piece with that. Usually it's done with, like, you might use something, like find a pretty leaf that you like and spray around it so you get the shape of the leaf, or some kind of stencil or something. So that's one thing you can do. We couldn't really demonstrate that without everybody traipsing outside. But on the day of the 25th, if you want to do that, there'll be people who could help you do that. Make sure you do it, and kind of do it like from about 8 or 10 inches away, but you have to get enough to make a difference. But then the other thing is you can do, and I'm gonna just, Lucia's gonna talk about this a bit, but this piece also that I did several years ago, these marks were made with metallic pens. And they showed through, but some got, you know, brighter than others. And Lucia's done some wonderful things with metallic pens, and she's gonna show some things that she's done.
They're on the table as well.
Yeah.
Just, you can see, I decorate with the gold pen and also copper pen. I don't remember which one I use it. But it shows, it turns out black or reddish brown really well. And so this year I try use this one gold pen. I write it, decorate it.
So you
And
did
this
that after
one-
it was bisque.
Yeah, it's best,
Yeah,
it's best.
do it after your spits.
Yeah, after best. And this one I use the copper pan, so I want to see the difference. Yeah, so you can decorate with that. You can decorate with your gold pen and the copper.
Yeah, and we also have some more on the table too.
Yeah.
Different ones, so. Yeah. And you wanna make a particular mark. What else did you want to know?
Okay, I was told, the persimmon leaf, only persimmon leaf can leave mark. So I tried last year with the, persimmon leaf, so I got a mark. I don't know why just persimmon leaf, but this year I'm gonna try with the lemon leaves. So all have an acid, right? So to see it's going to be leaf mark. And, I use wire, copper wire to tighten up, make a loops, and it's gonna leave black mark or fresh green. And afterwards, I'm gonna wrap around with this, soak in the copper and copper carbonate with salt and wrap the whole thing.
100% cotton.
100% cotton. But I'm not going to wrap right now because it's a soak and probably eat
Yeah,
up your.
do it closer to the time.
Right, so,
Yeah.
and very closely to wrap it around, and then wrap with a newspaper. Yeah, that's it.
I wanted to show something else, I forgot to mention this, but this was a piece that I did, several years ago. I have a mold of this, it was a sculpture done many years ago, I made a mold of it, and I have different versions of it. This particular one, in the bisque fire, I hadn't dried it enough, and her butt fell off. And 2 pieces of her butt blew off, and I was gonna throw her away, but Patty and some other people said, no, don't do that, just put it in the pit the way it is, and put it back together afterwards, so I did. The only trouble is that even though they were near each other, the pieces, separate little pieces of the butt, didn't turn a good color, so I glued them on and I made her a little sarong out of some rice paper that I colored with some ink, so you can, don't give up, you know? That's what Patty and my message is, you know, always don't give up. If you like something, just, you know, what do you got to lose, you know? And I ended up liking it, so. And I have this, also the slideshow that I showed last time, and I can show it again if you want,
Yes.
about the process. Did you have another question?
I have a question.
Sure.
That Patty has used wire and fabric to tighten her goop onto the
Yeah.
piece. Can you use uncoated wire or twine? Or does it have to be dipped?
It won't do anything, it'll just burn away.
But it would hold,
You mean, what?
just in order to keep things tightly adhered.
Yeah, you can, we've got wire here, this.
Just
for the
regular.
wire.
But could you just use regular string
that's-
is my question.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, you
Just
could,
hold
if you
it
just
on.
wanna hold it on.
Yeah,
But it might not make like lines, but it would hold it on and then it
Okay.
might,
It might burn away quickly, more
Yeah.
quickly.
it might.
oh, I see, and defeat the, yeah,
We don't really know for sure.
No,
We don't know.
Faster, but-
This is steel wire,
Yeah,
okay,
so steel might be okay, might be, even a higher temperature that it would dissolve
Yeah.
rather than copper. 'cause
Yeah,
copper's
it'll-
pretty-
and
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, with some of the pieces like that Lucia has done and that Patty have done, have, had copper wire on in their sculptures, and they end up leaving the copper wire on, this sort of, gets very
Right.
interesting effects. You
Yeah.
can just take it off and just, you know, cause usually it kind of disintegrates, but sometimes it'll stay on and do interesting
And then I
things.
did that on that one piece that I said was a bad
It had sort of a crown.
It had a copper, crown on, and, so it really looked pretty, it did not totally melt, but it did kind of melt together.
okay.
I'll show the slideshow and you can just,
Somebody
ask
talked,
any questions.
I'm sorry, somebody talked about underglazing after it's been bisque.
Oh, yeah, in fact, I could show you something, on this one, and also, this is one that I just recently made. I actually did sgraffito on it, but not the way I usually do it through another glaze. I basically just did it on the clay, you know, grooves in it, and I did that with this too, but it was much finer. This one I did several years ago. But afterwards, I put black underglaze and wiped it off, like we do with like some of the other things, you know. And it will go into the grooves, and you can't, I also put some green underglaze here, because I want to do it sort of grassy.
Okay.
So you can use underglaze on, it's not.
After it's bisque,
Huh?
after it's bisque.
You can do it after it's bisque, yeah. Like on this one, you can see, I've already put some underglaze in, on this side, and I haven't done it on this side yet, but I wanted to show you the difference.
Right.
This was just, sort of a light burnish, I didn't burnish it a lot, but I did burnish it. And so that's what I'm gonna do with that. And, if you wanna see, this also, this had that, iron oxide that I wiped off on the texture. It'll turn kind of black, I think, or dark brown. And this also has a little bit of that mica in it. So it's bisque, but, oh, and then we were also gonna show about the packets, weren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, on the back side of your blue sheet, it says that, where does it say it? Oh, it's
It's
here
kind
somewhere.
of in the middle of the back.
In the middle of that, yeah. Chemical packets. You can take newspaper,
Make a little
make
package,
yourself a little,
pack, and put the, like America Grow, everything inside there.
it could be bigger than that or littler.
Yeah.
Or not much bigger. Yes, that's pretty
Well,
big.
I'm not gonna put it, just put everything you want to put it, and tape it, and tape it in onto your piece. So maybe that area gonna flash all the colors. You wanted this one, so just tape it in there.
Yeah, just to see, you know, those particular things right close to it.
Yeah.
So, that's
Like, it
something.
might be nice really on, like, say if you have something like this, it might be nice to have something right there.
Right, in this
Yeah.
area you want that,
Mhm.
that color. Maybe your little package.
Oh, and then going back to the underglaze, I have, these have been bisque for the pit, and I had texture on them. And I put some underglaze and wiped off on a couple of them. And then this one I'm just gonna leave as it is. They're kind of experiments to see what happens in the bisque. You know, generally, if it doesn't have anything on it, you will get, the texture will be accentuated by what happens, usually. But you can't count on it,
Yeah.
you never know. But if this, something is definitely gonna show, whether I like it or not at the end, it's another question, we'll see. But the nice thing about it is you can make 15 or 20 of them, and maybe like 10 of them, the others you can either throw out or do something else with them. Yeah, I even re-bisqued some of them, so it took away most of the stuff in the pit, and now I'm putting them back in the pit. So, like I've got a bunch of things here. Actually, I think I have some here that, from previous years, it's like, well, I didn't like them that much, so I re-bisqued them. They still have some stuff on them, but not as much as they did. Let's put them back in, what the heck, what have I got to lose? I could show, doing a tray of beads and things, should I do that?
Yeah.
Or yeah. I'll do that. Here's some of mine, these are some of the ones with different colors of Terra Sig that I did and so forth. They've all been done.
Meanwhile, Patty used, a magazine with a lot of color in it.
Yeah.
It was dipped in something?
That copper carbonate and salt solution.
And would that be required to impart color, or could you just use the naked,
I don't think it would do
Nothing
anything.
is required. Nothing is required.
Nothing.
No, I put things in the pit with nothing,
Right.
nothing.
Oh.
And color.
If you have any little tins at home, my husband eats canned fish in the morning. It's part of his breakfast, he's European, that's what they do. But, you can use this for certain things, and you can even put it aside with another one. But, for instance, if I'm putting this together, what I would do is, this is just what I would do, you don't have to do it this way, but first I'd put in some wood shavings, and then I'd put in some seaweed.
That would have been something I could have put in the bottom of mine also. I didn't
Yeah.
put wood chips.
And so I'm gonna just. Oh, by the way, I brought some banana peels that they're getting mixed up with the seaweed. Put them a little bit away from the seaweed. These are banana peels from home, and you know, you just leave them out to dry, and when they dry, bring them in. if you want.
Could
I
you
did-
use, like dried, the seeds from a plum, or a peach?
Yeah.
Dry them out and put them.
Try it, yeah.
Dried apricot seeds.
Some of the
or
things on that pink
The
list.
pit there, yeah.
Some of the things, I'm just gonna put some seaweed around, maybe put, I won't necessarily put all of my pieces in, but I'll put some of them in, not on top of each other. You know, you wanna spread them out. But, so I might use a couple of trays for this many pieces. And then put some of the, I maybe won't do it now, it's a little bit too soon, but I would put some of these powder things on using gloves and a mask, like some of the copper carbonate and some of the, Miracle Grow makes things green. Sometimes it sticks on it to a different texture, which you may or may not want. So basically, excuse me, ladies. So anyway, and then afterwards, sometimes I will just put some tape on top and write my name on it, because I can leave it open. You could just do like that, put some tape on top, and write my name, and put it in that way, so that it kind of stays together. You can put it in the newspaper if you want, but we're not gonna stack these things on top of each other. So, in fact, that's one of the things, finding space for everything in the pit is a little bit
How
tricky.
big is how big is the fire pit?
You can go outside and see it if you want.
8 feet wide and 12 feet long.
It's big.
Or more, and it's 36 inches deep.
It's the hole in the ground out by the stairs,
That
out
big
by the
hole in
bridge.
ground.